It has helped improve most people's morning routines. Making that fresh brewed cup of coffee in the morning, at home, or at work is super convenient and super fast thanks to K Cups. Yet, I think most of us can agree that Keurig coffee, although convenient in this fast paced, busy world, doesn't taste all that great. Let's jump right into it. Keurig was founded by two college roommates named John Sullivan and Peter Dragoon. They loved coffee, but sometimes ran into that issue where they would only really need one cup of coffee, but they didn't have a convenient way to make just the one cup. Back then, most people would make an entire pot of coffee, drink what they wanted, and let the rest go to waste. So the duo came up with the idea of single-use K-cups that would only make one cup of coffee using their special machine they called a Keurig. John got the idea for the name Keurig from a Danish-English dictionary for the word that meant excellence. Fun fact, in 1995, John actually had to go to the hospital for overdosing on caffeine because he was drinking so many cups of coffee for their new machine that they had just created. Anyway, let's get into why the Keurig coffee itself doesn't taste as good as your local coffee shop's fresh brew. I know we all have that bag of coffee in our pantry that's been sitting around for weeks or even months that we sometimes still pull out to occasionally make a cup of coffee. But the truth is that coffee beans don't actually last that long. While unroasted beans can have a shelf life up to 3 years if stored properly, roasted coffee beans have a much shorter shelf life. So, first we have to acknowledge the fact that whole bean coffee lasts longer than ground coffee, which is really important and I'll explain why in a bit. But basically, whole bean roasted coffee lasts 6 months if sealed in an airtight container. However, once you break that seal and open the bag, the beans are only good for a few weeks. And once you ground those roasted beans, they start to oxidize immediately. And in an unsealed environment, technically, those grounds go stale in less than a day. And some people will even argue that the grounds will only be good for an hour at the most. The reason ground coffee beans go stale so quickly is that grounding the beans increases the surface area of the coffee that is exposed to oxygen. The larger the surface area exposed to oxygen, the faster the coffee goes stale, which leads to a poor tasting cup of coffee. Now, we all know K-cups come pre-grounded, but sealed. So there shouldn't be a problem, right, since the K-cups are sealed? Well, the truth is coffee beans, after they're roasted, give off CO2, and normally coffee roasters handle this problem by making those one-way vent valves you see in coffee bean bags. This allows them to seal the coffees right away after roasting without the fear of gas building up in the bags and the coffee bags exploding. Now, if you've noticed, K-cups don't have those one-way valves due to the construction of the K-cup itself. So, for the K-cup, not only is your coffee roasted months before you even get it, it's also grounded and left to sit out for 2 weeks to let all the CO2 to be released before they even put the grounds in a K-cup. So yeah, those grounds are left out to the open air for 2 weeks. Now, of course, they keep the grounds in a clean, sanitary environment, but I'm sure you can imagine that leaving them out in the open air doesn't do much for the taste. Now, I'm sure some of you have left a bag of bread open by accident for a day, or even left a piece of bread out to the open air by accident. And if you've ever gone and tasted that piece of bread that was opened to the exposed end of the bag, or tasted that piece of bread that you left out, it tastes pretty stale. So if you can imagine leaving coffee grounds out to the open air for 2 weeks, how stale would they taste, right? Unfortunately, there isn't much manufacturers can do about it, but it's a trade-off we have to make for a convenient cup of coffee. Now that we know why the coffee doesn't taste that great, is there anything we can do to improve the taste at all? Well, actually, there are a couple things you can do that can slightly improve the taste of your Keurig coffee. First, make sure you regularly descale your Keurig. Keurig recommends descaling every 3 to 6 months. Descaling removes any mineral buildup from your water, which can alter the taste of your coffee for the worse. Second, you also want to make sure your Keurig is clean. Check the basket of your Keurig for any leftover coffee grounds from that previous K-cup and wipe them away. Third, try using bottled water. Different bottled waters have different mineral contents and can taste slightly different from each other. You might find that you prefer the taste of your K-cup coffee using purified bottled water or spring water instead of your tap water. Finally, you can try different brands of K-cups. I know that one's kind of obvious, but for me personally, I can only really stand to drink Pete's K-cups, and no, they did not sponsor this video, but I have friends who, they'll only drink Starbucks K-cups or another brand of K-cups, but they won't drink the Keurig brand or generic brand K-cups. So it might be worth the premium for certain brands of K-cups for slightly better coffee. So there you have it, folks. Why K-cup coffee is not as good as fresh coffee. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. See you guys in the next video. Bye!